Have you ever entered a meeting feeling prepared but walked out wondering why did my idea not carry enough weight? You knew the subject, you had the experience, you had something valuable to contribute, and yet you got interrupted and your point was completely ignored. Someone repeated the same idea and received the recognition. Here is an uncomfortable possibility. You may be losing authority before you even finished your first sentence, not because you lack competency. Small habits may be communicating uncertainty, even when you are completely capable. And the most dangerous part, these habits often look like politeness, preparing, or professionalism. By the end of this video, you will be able to identify 5 habits that may be weakening your professional authority, and you will exactly know what to replace it with. Hi everyone, I'm Sapna Menon, an image coach, and I help professionals build their image inside out. And in this channel, we don't just talk about professional tips, we help you change your self image so that the respect and value and authority comes to you naturally to transform who you are into that version of yourself who gets results effortlessly. Let me explain this with a small story about my client, Ria. She was experienced, project manager, intelligent, dependable, and excellent in solving problems. Her colleagues trusted her. Her team relied on her. But whenever some senior leadership entered the meeting, something changed. Her voice becomes softer. Her sentences becomes longer. She over explains. And before sharing the idea, she would kind of being like, I may be wrong, but, or this is just a small suggestion. Sorry, can I add something? Ria believed she was being polite, but the room was hearing it as something else. They were hearing hesitation. Let us look at 5 habits that were quietly reducing her authority. The first one is apologizing before you speak. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry, I just wanted to add something. Sorry, can I say something here? Many professionals use apologies as the entry ticket to the conversation. But ask yourself, what exactly are you apologizing for? Having an opinion or contributing to the discussion? Using the expertise you were invited into the room to share. That unnecessary apology actually weakens your sentence. Instead of saying, sorry, can I add something? You can just say, I would like to add something here. That is your perspective. Don't say sorry for disagreeing. I see this differently, is what you can say. You are not becoming rude. You are simply removing submissions from your communication. Let's move to the second habit, turning statements into question. Listen to the difference. We should delay the launch until testing is completed. Now listen again. We should delay the launch until the testing is completed. The words are just identical, but the impact is completely different. When your voice rises at the end, a recommendation can begin to sound more like a request for approval. This habit often appears when you know the answer intellectually, but do not fully trust yourself emotionally. For instance, imagine your team asked whether the project is ready to launch. You know 2 approvals are still pending, but you say we should perhaps wait for the approval. The room now hears uncertainty. Instead of saying we should wait until both approvals are complete, that calm, clear groundedness. Your voice teaches people how confidently they should receive your message. Let's move to habit number 3, over explaining. This is something that I've seen most of them doing, often giving 5 minutes of background before sharing one line recommendation. But by the time you reach the point, the room has already lost interest. Over explaining is not always communication problem. Sometimes it is a need for approval. It comes from the belief if I explain everything, nobody will question me. But leadership is not about preventing every question. It's about being able to hold your position when questions arise. Use this simple structure: recommendation, reason, pause. For instance, my recommendation is to postpone the launch by 1 week. That is the recommendation. Testing is incomplete and two approvals are still pending. That is the reasoning. And then just pause. Do not add five more explanation unless someone asks for them. Clarity communicates confidence. Constant justification can communicate fear of disagreement. Now let's move to the fourth habit: minimizing your own ideas. This is just a small thought. I'm not an expert at it, but I think maybe we could possibly consider. These may be phrases that feel very harmless, but they reduce the value of your idea before anyone else has even responded. But it reduces the value of your idea before anyone else has even responded. Sometimes we minimize ourselves as protection. We think if I reduce the importance of my idea, rejection may not hurt me much. But when you repeatedly shrink your contribution, people may start receiving it as less valuable. So instead of saying that this is just a small suggestion, why don't you say this is my recommendation? I may be wrong, but based on the information available, this is my assessment. And one more thing, maybe we should possibly, one opinion we should consider is what you can say. You do not need to know everything. You simply need to stop shrinking yourself already because you know it. This is the final habit: filling every silence. This is one of the most overlooked habit. You make a strong point. The room becomes quiet. And within 2 seconds, you panic. So you start talking again. You repeat the message, add more information, examples, soften the recommendation, or just say, but of course, I am open for anything. Why? Because silence feels like rejection, but silence does not always mean disagreement. Sometimes people are thinking, sometimes they are processing that seriousness of what you said, and sometimes your strongest move is to stop talking. During a senior meeting, my client Ria had raised a concern. In the past, she would have definitely said, I'm not sure, but maybe we could consider the date because we could face a few challenges. This time, she said, based on our current capability, this deadline creates a serious delivery risk. I recommend extending it by 10 days. Then she stopped. The room became silent. Her old instinct told her, explain more, make it softer, say it in a more flexible way. But she stayed quiet. A few seconds later, the business head said, I agree. Please share the revised timeline. That moment changed something for Ria. Not only because the room listened to her, but because she had finally listened to herself. These habits are not merely communication habits, these are reflections of your leadership self image. Leadership self image is the internal picture you carry of yourself when you enter a room of authority. Do you believe your voice belongs there? Do you trust your judgment? Can you express a position without apologizing for having one? Executive presence does not begin with speaking louder. It begins when you stop waiting for the room to validate your right to contribute. Before your next meeting, notice which habit appears most often. Do not apologize before speaking. Turn sentences into a question, over explaining, minimizing your own ideas. Or do you rush to fill every silence? Do not try to challenge all five at once. Choose one. Write down the phrase you usually use. Then create a stronger replacement. Say for instead of saying, sorry, can I add something? Just practice. I would like to add an important point here. Instead of saying, maybe I'm wrong, just say, my assessment is that. Practice taking one calm breath and staying silent. Authority is not built through one dramatic performance, it is built through small moments in which you decide. My perspective has value, my voice has value. I do not need to shrink myself. Remember, the room may not give you authority first. Sometimes it waits to see whether you are willing to give it to yourself. So let me know in the comment which of these five habits are you silently carrying and is killing your authority. Share it in the comment below and subscribe for more leadership, self image, executive presence, and inner authority for promotion readiness.